Hello, everyone. Today I have Tanushree Podder, a very prolific writer with a long history of being into this industry in the publishing world, in the writing world. She used to be a journalist, she used to be a travel writer, and then she has written, I don't know, over 20, 30 books. So her writing career spans for more than 2 to 3 decades, which I feel is very impressive. And I feel really honored to be able to talk to you today, Tanushree. I know we have been talking about it for some time. I have also read some of your books, and it's a great pleasure that we can spend some time talking about your books today. So, welcome to Writer's Melon, Tanushree.
Thanks so much, Priyanka. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I remember doing it quite some time back once. And I really enjoyed the rapport that we have while discussing things. And, I really enjoyed each session.
Great. And I think what is the best gift that you can give an author, but to actually give the time and the attention the books deserve, because you guys put so much effort and hard work in writing those books. So I think the best that a reader could do is really read those books and talk to the authors and hear them how they went about writing those amazing pieces of writing. So I guess you've written in various genres, but the one that really stands out is the work that you have done around the books that you've written around the military life, right? Which has also been adapted to screen. So, and of course, there has been historical retellings, there has been children's book, thrillers. You really are like across genres that you have written and you have mastered them. So, tell me your experience of writing these books. You can go one by one. You can tell me what makes a good thriller, for example. So, the stage is yours.
So, my military books, yes, they are a little unusual because when I started writing the military books, there were hardly any women writing military books. It was mainly a male dominated domain. So, I got a lot of, doubts in the sense a lot of people asked me, is it your husband ghostwriting? So, that was hilarious because here I was making a serious effort to write a military book and I was getting asked questions like that, especially from the army men. You
Okay.
see, not from others because they just couldn't imagine that it could be written so authentically by someone who's not been in the military. Anyway, that was actually done. The first book was done as a lark. It was just, miss, I was writing a humor book on military, which was rather unusual. So there was this rare occurrence of a woman writing about an academy which had only men, only boys at that time, the NDA. And then I was attempting to put it in humorous vein. So the whole thing was like unimaginable to the people. And I think that's what it's a book that's been going very well for the last about 16, 18 years. And people still are buying it. It is always in the forefront of all my books. And more importantly, I have these young cadets coming and telling me, ma'am, we were inspired by your book to join the NDA, which I thought was really a big commendation for my writing that book. But all said and done, I was really happy with this particular book. And then I had no intention of continuing to write in the military genre, nor did I expect that it'll take off so much, fly off the shelves kind of a thing, and it'll get so many people, you know. I mean, there's some boys who have read it twice, thrice, and it's all over in the social media. I keep getting these little DMs saying, ma'am, I have read this book and I've read it so many times. It's the best book in my life that I have read, and things like that. And I'm like so surprised about it. But all said and done, I'm very happy. And then what happened is that I was called to IMA, to talk about this particular book. So, IMA is again the Indian Military Academy, at the Dehradun, this thing location. And when I went there after the talk, a lot of cadets came up to me and said, "Ma'am, why haven't you written anything on the IMA? You've written on the NDA." So I said, okay, fine. And then publisher had also asked me if I'm intending to do something similar. So I said, okay. So I went and wrote another book on the academy, again a hilarious one. And that was my second one. So these two are something which people are still reading, and really, really, and the surprising thing is, it's like organically caught people's imagination. I did no publicity for it. There was nothing. And the reviews are all organic. Means like there are more than 500 reviews.
Tell us
And I was
what
really
did you do?
surprised.
What different did you do with
People
these?
liked it so much that they went and wrote reviews. Because when it was written, there was no trend of, getting reviews as such, except for the newspapers and magazines, which we got quite a few.
The fact that it was an original concept, never done before by a woman, and it was written in a very humorous, light way that a lot of young cadets could really relate
Yes.
to your
Yeah, and those days the teenagers used to go, say, about 16, 17
mhm.
age group. And this is my husband's story, basically. Let me tell you this also. It is his experiences, which he narrated over time, and which I,
You wrote.
turned into hilarious accounts and wrote. They were hilarious because it is how a teenager would behave.
Mhm.
So I was looking at the cadets as human beings, as normal teenagers, how they would react to a situation. If they're punished, how would they react? If they have to go through a real grueling regimen, how would they go through it? So that was the whole takeoff point. Anyway, these two did well, and then uh, I was asked by the lady officers, the women officers, why this discrimination?
So you
So I
have to
met a
lecture
lot
about
of,
the women.
yeah, they said, we're doing so well. So I said, okay, let's do one on you people. And that's how the Girls in Green was born. So, it's not that something I planned to do, it just happened.
That was just
And I'm so happy that most of them have taken off so well, which is rather unexpected. And the latest one, Men of Steel, it is for young adults. And it talks about all the wars we had and the brave people in it, and it covers army, air force, and navy. And it is targeted for the, because it's supposed to be like an inspirational kind of a thing. So that was my last military book, which I wrote last year.
great, great. What about the children's book? Because I also saw quite a few spooky books that you wrote. Because that might be
Yes.
a slightly different mindset in general, right? Like you need a completely different preparation, different ideation stage. So tell us about that process as well.
It's always, like switching from one mode to another one. Like I switch from my housewife mode to a writer mode and to a, army wife mode. So similarly, I switch my writer mode into various personalities.
That's
And like the ghost stories were born out of curiosity that my grandson expressed about ghosts. He was just about 2.5, 3 years old, and he was talking about zombies.
mhm.
Just imagine. And like, I said, oh my, this is something interesting. And his imagination and all that, he would tell me stories. And of course, the spooky stories, the first two I wrote were for young adults, spooky stories and more spooky stories. And again, surprisingly, they did very well. And then I was told by another publisher if I could do something for children. And I wrote Boo Boo's Adventures, which is for much smaller children, not young adults. And it is about a very cute 5 year old girl ghost and how she, is interested in human beings and she wants to make human friends. And then her grandfather says that he sets a contest for the young ghosts in the family kind of. They are a huge, huge family. So he wants every ghost to do something good for humans. He says that humans are really very scared of ghosts. So I want them to think of us in a good light. So Boo Boo is anyway very interested in human beings. She makes a friend, and then she realizes human beings are destroying the environment and they need to do something. So she joins in the effort, and the friend that she makes along with the Boo Boo, they both, sort of do a lot of activities which are environmental friendly. So there is a series again of three books. I was asked to do three or five, so I did three. And once again, I don't know, again, it's hit a chord with the little ones. And so I'm quite happy.
Just hearing you describe the stories and the themes of this children's book actually just takes me back to my own childhood. I think most children are like so fascinated by stories, and if some of them can really help them visualize a lot of things, a lot of imagination that they have. So I think it's a great, great place to start reading and get young minds get to reading. And I think it's really a commendable task that you got the young minds interested in your stories, and
I
I can
feel,
almost.
Priyanka, that most of the children are highly imaginative.
That's true.
And you want to appeal to their imagination. You create a world, you create a character which they can, identify with, even adults for that matter. And they really, means like one of our friends has bought it for her grandson. And the grandson is, always imagining Boo Boo to be sitting on his window. So he says that is Bubu sitting there outside? Because in my story, Bubu is very keen on making friends. So she goes to these inhabitations, houses, and she sits on the window and observes people. So this boy also feels that perhaps Bubu is watching him doing things, and he asks his grandmother, "Is Bubu sitting and seeing what I'm doing?"
Very interesting. I am trying to write thriller, and I have been talking to a lot of thriller writers over the past. I don't know, this genre just fascinates me a lot. And I've started reading your first thriller book, A Closet Full of Skeletons. And I love the way it flowed, the story, um, because I know the biggest challenge of writing a good pacey thriller is really this big task of pacing. So I don't know if you can share, because some authors can get really technical about it, and some authors are just like, we just do it. There is no science, there is no big thought behind it. The story is just flowing. So what kind of a writer are you when it comes to doing a thriller? Tell us,
I'm very
tell us more
instinctive.
insight about it. Give us your
I'm
secret.
very instinctive. I do not do much plotting. I don't go technical. I just have a sort of story in my mind, and I can almost picture it, visually. When I sit alone, I can almost see it as a movie,
Mm,
picturing it as it goes along. And I do not do too much planning or plotting, like I said, or any using very technical advanced theories
mm,
into that, but I let it flow.
mm.
And sometimes the story is very different from what I imagined earlier.
It's true.
The characters take over and the plot changes, so I let it be, as long as it is flowing, I let it be. So that is the you know way I do it.
Mm. I could really imagine or think like what must have inspired you to create a setting in this city called not city, like a town called Ramasar, far away from
Ram sir.
Ramsar. So I've been to Almora, but you're talking about a town which is further away, which is like a retired town for retired people.
uh,
And then there is the
yeah.
guy Acharya, so who continues to your other thriller book. So tell us a little more about the inspiration. Have you been there? Was that do mountains fascinate you? How did these ideas come to you?
See, like I said, my husband worked in the army. He was in the army, and we got posted to all sorts of places. And one of the last postings that we had was to a place called Pithoragarh.
Mm-hmm.
It is, at the footsteps of the Himalayas. And it's a beautiful hill station. Of course, now it isn't, because when we went there, say about 7, 8, or a little, no, about 12 years back, we were there. And we stayed there for about 2.5 years. And that time it was very pristine,
Mm.
and not many people used to go. Then later it became, what I read in the newspapers and all that, is that it became very touristy,
Mm.
and that ruined the whole glamour and the romanticism and whatever what was attached to it, which is what happens often. Now when I went there, it was a very beautiful place, and I felt it would make a very nice ideal location for or setting for a thriller.
Mm.
And when the thriller came to my mind, I thought immediately about Pithoragarh, and I created this Ramsar, which is sort of, the
Imaginary.
kind that Pithoragarh was.
Okay, great.
So I always feel it helps to get the right setting. And if you know the setting, it is a double whammy.
Absolutely. I could really feel it. Like Tanushree must have been here or been somewhere similar to this place when I was reading the book. So, yeah, really, really nice job at that. We talked about pacing, we talked a little bit about going with the instinct. One thing that always fascinates me when I talk to authors is about how you put your work out there. Because I know a lot of authors are very introvert in nature. For them, it's all about the book and the book that they are writing and the world that that book is creating, so they kind of be in that zone all the time. So let's talk about first your latest book that you have now, which is the Bimbisar's Curse, and it is a follow up to what you wrote before, which is set in that period, right? So tell us a little bit about your latest book and how do you manage this overwhelming space where the authors need to put themselves out and market or promote and reach out to more and more people. So
So I'll deal with the book first. Uh, so, wherein just talk a little bit about the historical genre, the books that I have written in historical genre. Like we have covered military, we have covered spooky, we have covered one of the genres that I write apart from thriller also is this historical. And in fact, one of the first historicals I wrote was Nurjahan's Daughter, which again, Touchwood is very, very, you know, a lot of people know me as the author of Nurjahan's Daughter. And that's like another book that's 17, 18 years old. Yeah, I think 2006. I wrote in 2006. Is going to be 19 years old now. And so I am basically very keen on history. I love history in all forms. So whether it is Mughal history, whether it is our ancient Indian history, I love it all. And the whole idea about writing this Bimbisar was, I first wrote Ambapali. People know her as Amrapali also, the Vaishali Nagarvadu. And then Bimbisar being her lover, it was just natural that I should, write about him. So I was like compelled to write about Bimbisar after everyone read Ambapali. And I did get a lot of feedbacks. Everyone liked it very much. So I said, okay, let me follow it up, because both of these books are set in the 500 BC, and it's not easy to write a book set in that era, because basically he belongs to the Haryanka dynasty, and that's not been written about. We know about history from Chandragupta's time, the Mauryan history, and all that, Ashoka, and all those. But going more deeper back further, there's hardly any account. So I had to dig into the Buddhist and Jain tomes to get some details about Amrapali as well as Bimbisar, because both of them were Buddhists. First he was a Jain and then a Buddhist. So a lot of information about his life came from that. But it's always a challenge to write about 500 BC era book, because you have to imagine, apart from the information, a lot of things: the food they ate, the festivals that they celebrated, and the way they dressed, or even the way they addressed each other,
Hmm.
and the kind of culture that was there. So it's always a challenge.
Great. Tell us about how challenging it is for an author like you who has written so many books to also think about marketing and putting yourself out there. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm not an introvert as such. I'm quite an extrovert. I make friends easily. I talk a lot, and but I can't sell myself. That's where the hurdle comes. You know, I can't sell myself to save my life. I can't do that at all. I can talk to you for hours. I can talk on a variety of subjects, but I will not talk about my books, which is really strange. Because belonging to the old time, generation, whatever you say, I always felt a writer's preliminary job, or the primary job, or the ultimate job is to write. Now,
Absolutely.
if I am to, talk about my book and try to promote it, somehow it feels vulgar. That kind of mindset, which is really, really ancient and outdated mindset,
Good that you
because
accepted
it's not.
also.
Yeah. So perforce I do it. Yes, I do it as much as possible. I do try and make some videos. I try to make some reels, but I don't really enjoy the process of doing it. Yes, I can go and talk about my book in a public forum, because I'm on a panel, or I'm called for a discussion, or like I'm talking to you. I can talk like that, but if I have to, go and sell my book, that's a different cup of tea.
Absolutely. But I think you're doing a great job at what you're like really, really supposed to do, which is to write a great book. And often we authors just forget that that's the main goal, and then everything else would just follow. Because, like you said, some of your books have done well organically. It was before the time any of these current marketing trends were popular or were even existing. So
There was no social media. There
there was
was
no
no
social
social
media,
media.
exactly. There was no social. So I think in a way you are also lucky that you were born in that time because you didn't have to worry about all of that. You just had to write a good book.
Exactly. And I still continue to
Now,
believe I don't have to.
yeah, and so for someone who's starting now, it's crazy. Like, okay, you have to send a pitch to the publisher. They will ask, okay, how many followers do you have, or what are you doing on social media? And this is exactly what I was also talking to you before we started this conversation. Is this just gets so overwhelming, and it just takes away the whole charm of letting your story flow, and getting this almost like some muse talking to you sometimes, and I would really recommend this, if I may, that if you do these some kind of a digital fasting, for example, which I try to do on a Friday or a Saturday, and just hear your own voice, I think that is the only hack that I could find to continue writing or continue focusing to read a lot more, because it is really tough. I don't know if you understand the magnitude of how difficult it is for the next generation to
It's like,
pursue.
while I'm not camera shy as such, but put me on a live and I have to speak solo. It's not a discussion. I have
Okay.
to make a reel or something. And I will start flustering and, making mistakes and going all haywire. So that's something, again, I don't understand about myself, because I become very conscious because I'm the only one speaking to the camera. Here I'm speaking to you.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think,
the
it's
whole
all very,
idea. Absolutely. That's the whole idea of doing this, because I really feel that sometimes it's this exchange of thoughts and ideas that helps us learn more about ourselves as well as the other person. So I don't know. I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you also had fun talking about your book. And I
of course, always, always.
And I hope people who watch this would also get some kind of an inspiration or would go and pick up your books, your amazing body of work that you leave behind. And thank you so much. And I wish you all the best and keep writing.
Thanks, Priyanka. Thank you so much because it's always a pleasure to be speaking to you. And let me tell you very honestly, I enjoy this conversation a lot. So, because it's free flowing, we don't sort of do some preparation and rehearse or whatever.
We
So,
did
I really enjoy this kind.
prepare a little bit, but yes, that was just to know you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much, Tanushree, for
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.